Breezy.
Comes in from square leg. Well, I knew there was a rhetorical question really, because I knew what you were wearing, because I had an emergency phone call just as I was leaving for Paddington Station yesterday to come across to Cardiff by your producer, saying, "We've got Jimmy's T-shirt. We need to get Jimmy his T-shirt to him." So I performed emergency courier duties and brought a T-shirt across. He also sort of slipped in the line that it might need a bit of an iron.
So you went above and beyond the call.
Well, you know, when I woke up this morning, my first commentary game of this World Cup, the first thing that went through my mind as Nishan is in defence at the time, coming forward is Udana, defends into the offside, first ball negotiated. Yeah, the first thought that went through my head was not worrying about averages or who's going to bat where or what the make of the sides are going to be. I was like, must give Jimmy's T-shirt an iron.
Brilliant.
And
thank you very much.
It
was perfect, yeah.
Good, thank you. And then I thought, well, hang on, you're on radio anyway, so how many people are going to see your crisply ironed tailor-made T-shirt? Here is Nishan then. Sunshine over the ground here at Cardiff Sapphire Gardens, and one slip in place, right arm over, driven quite neatly back past the bowler, not quite timed, picked up at mid-off, and no run taken. Just Suranga Lakmal and Lasith Malinga, the last two due in for Sri Lanka before New Zealand all set about chasing. The average first innings scores here in the ODI is 249, so long way off the pace here. But New Zealand have got a lineup of matches. Let's start off here with Sri Lanka. They've got Bangladesh, then Afghanistan. They sort of rev up into the bigger teams as their campaign goes on. Nisham in, firing it off the pad, should be caught, it is! A little chip to mid-on, and it's quite a soft way for Udana to go. It's another duck, the third of the Sri Lankan innings. He's lasted just 2 balls, and New Zealand looking to wrap things up here. That was quite a meek dismissal, 114 for 8 now.
Yeah, he's just looking to clip that over square leg, and he's got a bit of a leading edge, and it's dollied up to mid-on. Easy catch from Matt Henry, and it's just not going well for Sri Lanka. They kind of, everything they try here is just not coming off. It's a nothing shot really. He's not trying to hit it for 6. He's not trying to whack it as hard as he can. He's just trying to chip it over mid-wicket or over square leg, and he just not having faced 2 balls. He's not got the pace of the pitch, and he gives an easy catch to mid-on.
Being shown pictures of Chandika Hatharasinghe, who's the Sri Lankan coach. The Sri Lankan team, they came into this off the back of a terrible run of form, and it's really not getting any better. I don't think anyone thought it would be quite this meek from them in this innings. And yes, they did come up against the likes of Henry, the pace of Ferguson. I mean, Trent Bolt, I don't think he was quite on the money today, was he? In terms of his consistency and accuracy.
He wasn't at his best at all. I thought Henry bowled brilliantly. Lucky Ferguson's looked impressive as well. He's got good pace. They're obviously missing Southey, which is a huge miss. He's one of their main seam bowlers over the last 10-15 years, and to have him out's a huge miss, but the guys that have stepped in have done well.
I was going to make way here, Jimmy. Brian Waddle is coming back in, so quick couple more thoughts from you, and here's Brian.
Yeah, so missing Southey, I think, as I was saying, is a loss. Hopefully it's not too serious, because I think he could add something to this New Zealand attack.
Here's Nisham bowling to the new batsman, and this one is a Yorker length delivery, well bowled, and it's played back along the pitch to the bowler. I feel a bit of an imposter coming in here now, because Allison has taken about 4 wickets, and I've hardly got, the ball on a length. Never mind, 114 for 8 is what the scoreboard says, and New Zealand will be delighted to see that in the opening game. You always want to start off in emphatic style, don't you?
You do, absolutely. And they've got, Alison was just saying, that their first 3 fixtures are ones that they should be looking to win, so they want to get off to a good start here.
Nisham from our broadcasting end goes up to Lakmal. His second delivery is short down the leg side. It'll be called wide by umpire Ian Gould, and taken by Latham. Yeah, of course, there's always dangers in that when you should win, and you might do in normal circumstances and normal competitions. But the World Cup throws up different responses from players, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And I don't know whether it's a good or bad thing playing those teams, playing Bangladesh next, Afghanistan after that, playing those teams early on that should win games for New Zealand. But if you lose one of them, then it makes the harder games later on even more difficult.
Yeah, you have to chase the competition then, don't you? Here's the nation bowling, and it's driven back by Lakmal. Past the bowler, but fielded there by mid-on Matt Henry, and there's no run. It remains 115 for 8. It's 25 overs that are being completed. Lakmal has yet to score. Karunaratne, well, solitary defiance from him, 42 from 70. And I think we knew that that's the way he would play. He needed those.
I think it'll be the same for Sri Lanka. I think they'll get some seam movement early, and then it'll get easier to bat, but Sri Lanka just haven't kept those wickets in hand to be able to cash in later on.
No, 2 for 12. Here's Ferguson up from the river tap and bowls to Karunaratne, and it's a short one. And he jumps and then has to duck away from it. Ball might have taken him off the shoulder or the lower part of the helmet. He managed to get out of the way. 115 for 8. New Zealand won the toss, and it was a good toss to win. I think it was a toss that both sides probably would have bowled first. A fresh pitch, green tinge about it.
Definitely, yeah.
You'd have loved that, wouldn't you?
Definitely, I'd have been getting the captain to win that toss.
Yeah, I'll toss the coin for you, Skip. Here's Ferguson up again to Karunaratne, taken on the pad, down leg side. It rebounds away towards mid-on, and Ferguson has to turn around and just toss it up to Trent Boult to do the polishing for him as he walks back, contemplating his next delivery. It's been a good start from Lockie Ferguson. He at times can be hittable, can not get his rhythm right, but he started with good rhythm, and that's always going to be important for this kind of competition, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I've been impressed with him. I think he looks like, he's good. His height as well can be quite a tricky customer.
Here he is again, bowling to Karunaratne. Oh, and that one has just probably taken the glove or the shoulder of the bat. It's gone over the keeper's head as he leapt to try and drag it in. Yes, it has gone through the gloves of Latham from the shoulder of the bat. But that was another nasty delivery. It took him by surprise. Done by pace once more. And bounce.
Brute of a delivery, yeah. There's pace and bounce and a good angle across the left-handed batter. And he's got the shoulder of the bat. And Tom Latham needed an extra couple of inches there, and he'd have got that. But really impressive bowling from Lockie Ferguson.
Well, it highlights, I suppose, what was spoken about before this World Cup, the need to have good pace in there. You look what the West Indies did yesterday. You look what Australia have got in terms of their pace attack. England, that extra pace that Archer now brings to the lineup. Those are going to be important parts.
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see what part spin plays as the pitches get a little more tired and older, because they'll be using the same blocks, won't they, over a period of time. Ferguson bowls to Lakmal. This delivery has him slogging it, roundhouse slog out towards mid-wicket. He opened up the front pad quite considerably.
That is a lower order batsman expecting a bouncer there.
It's baseball.
Expecting a short pitch ball. So gets rid of the left side and he's going to have a swing wherever it was.
Well, you've got to give yourself a bit of chance than that, don't you? Pereira at least gave himself a bit of chance. He was selective, wasn't he? Yeah. And he knew the right one to go out. Lakmal's got to give himself a bit of chance. 116 for 8. Ferguson bowls to him. This one's another bounce, and it's gone over the head of Latham. They'll get a bye as Latham is being reminded of the difficulties of variable bounce. He's in a nice position to take them, come back, but the pace of Ferguson probably wants to push him back a couple more paces as behind the stumps. That's an embarrassment. Keepers don't like giving away byes.
Oh, they hate it. That looks like it's gone well over the Lakmal's head there. Could have been given a wide. Was it a wide? No, just a bye. Yeah, and keepers they do hate giving away byes. Very precious about it.
17 for 8. Karunaratne, 43. Waits for the next delivery from Ferguson. Again, it's a short lifter, and he knew it was coming. He was outside leg stump, and he was going to beat that one over the offside rather than the onside. Ferguson telegraphing the delivery, but it's been successful for him. He's put every batsman under pressure. 2 for 13 from 5 overs. Outstanding figures. So too have the other bowlers had good figures. 117 for 8 from
is unusual for him. He's bowled a few balls down the leg side, got a bit of swing and seam movement early on, but just wasn't consistent enough with it.
If he's gone at 4.85, that's not too bad, really. He's bowling to Lakmal. First ball of the new over has him playing without really moving the feet, just standing and thrusting the bat towards as it goes out towards Santner. Henry, 7 overs, no maidens, 3 for 29. Bolt, 7 overs, no maidens, none for 34, so he's in his 8th. Ferguson, 5 overs, no maidens, 2 for 13. They're great figures to be the first change bowler with de Grandhomme, 2 overs for 14 and a wicket. Neesham, a little expensive, but he's an attacking, aggressive kind of bowler. 3 overs, 1 for 21. And Mitchell Santner, 2 overs, 1 for 5. Well, spinner hardly very needed. He's just giving them an option so that he can push the bowlers out a little bit further in the innings more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a problem. There's a bat issue for Lakmal. And we'll send Paul Fabres to go and get it because it's quite a long walk and he's fit. And he might well be able to act as an intermediary to help them get the bat out. Because he's got to come down that lift and 3 flights of stairs. Missed the point of what they were replaying on the TV just then, Phil.
Hate to tempt fate, but we always like to see a record maybe on the horizon. Very rare occurrence, somebody carrying their bat through the first innings of a World Cup game. The only person to do it in World Cup history, Ridley Jacobs of the West Indies against Australia back in 1999.
Yeah, well, he's been tested, but he hasn't looked vulnerable to any great degree, has he? He's done the job that you expect from his kind of style of play.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's played very well, and it can be difficult in that situation, I think, when wickets are tumbling around you, to keep you cool and keep your head. And he's just stayed calm and played his way.
Well, he needs somebody to help him, doesn't he? Here's bowling to Lakmal, who swipes without really moving his feet. They've got a lot of overs, and you don't want to get... If you've got a man who can score runs, you want to make sure that he can get that opportunity.
Yeah, but looking at how the rest of the Sri Lankans, or certainly the lower order, have batted, I don't think they're going to be trying to use up the 23.4 overs that are left. They're just looking to get as many quick runs as possible.
117 for 8 in the 27th over. Lovely afternoon here in Cardiff. Bolt bowls to Lakmal, who's defensive. That's better. Firm and playing into the offside to Santner. I was mentioning yesterday when we were here at practice my vivid memory of this ground. I was here at the 1999 World Cup, and we broadcast from down the far end, and I was commentating when Chris Cairns hit Shane Warne into the taff, and it became the shot of the match, because New Zealand won the game. Here's another widest delivery, and he looks to play with a lot of flourish but doesn't make contact with it. And for a New Zealander to hit particularly Shane Warne into the taff was a big day, and it was a special occasion for those New Zealand fans who came full house to see Australia beaten in that game. Didn't stop them winning the World Cup, did it? 117 for 8. But I don't know how often that river is peppered these days. Bowls to Lakmal, who stands and delivers and just carves it over extra cover to the boundary for 4. Sat up nicely, he was in position, didn't really have to move the feet, just a swing of the bat, and it was over the head of the fieldsman inside the circle. Picked up his first runs, 4 for him, 121 for 8.
Again, Trent Bolt just not looking himself. It's a 81 miles an hour delivery, short, wide, giving Lackmal the opportunity just to swing the bat over, get it over the infield on the offside. Now he's put a man back on the offside boundary.
Here he goes again, Bolt from our broadcasting end, bowls to the right-hander, and this one is a full toss. Tempted Yorker to try and unsettle him, but it became a full toss. Swiped away under the onside where it went out to Nisham at mid-wicket. They get a single for it. Lackmal goes to 5, and the total 122 for 8. We've had 27 overs. Karuna Ratner is on 43, and just a matter now of trying to eke out as many runs as they possibly can. It should not be challenging. We talked about the fact earlier that they are games that you should win. You can't take anything for granted, but it should not be a challenge to a side to chase down 120, whatever it is, in these conditions.
No, the pitch isn't poor enough to defend this toss. I think New Zealand should make short work of it.
Well, that's all in the future. We've got Laseth Malinga still to come. Lackmal, of course. Sarah Pereira. They've got spin options as well. Ferguson bowls to Lackmal, who carves it into the offside, out towards extra cover, almost a collision mid-pitch. Slight misfield there by Williamson, who just had a peek as they went for the run rather than watch the ball, and it slipped away from him, made it an easier single than it was initially the case. Both players running down the same side of the pitch, almost ahead on, and Lackmal did what he wanted to do and got the skip of the strike.
Yeah, I think again he's sort of premeditating that short ball, but a full ball he managed to get some bat on it, otherwise he'd have lost his middle still. Interesting field here, he's gone for he's got a third man for Karuna Ratner. It's sort of almost 2 third men. He's got a wide third man as well.
It's going to be short.
I think so.
Here's Ferguson bowling to Karuna Ratner, who goes across outside the iron of the off thumb and scoops it down towards long leg for 4. That was an ambitious, cheeky stroke, but he got into position, and rather than get the short ball, it was fuller and length, and he's picked up 4 down towards long leg.
Yeah, I think he was expected that short ball. He's gone right across. It's a great shot in the end.
Yeah.
Got it on the full. Just skimmed it past the leg stump. Almost knocked it onto the
They were all exposed too, weren't they? Boundary to Karuna Ratner. The next delivery is full, and he's hit it into the onside, out towards square leg, and be fielded out in the deep by Santner, and they'll get just the one. Takes him to 48. 128 for the loss of 8. Lackmal is 6. Ferguson's figures taken a bit of punishment in this over, 6 runs from 3 balls, and 2 for 19. Still good figures though in terms of where New Zealand find themselves in this game, the first half of it.
Yeah, Karuna Ratner not showing too much faith in the batting that's left and starting to play a few shots now.
Yes, here's Ferguson bowling to Lackmal. This one's a short ball, it's going to go high in the air, racing back, might just go away from Taylor. Yes, it does. Goes behind Taylor, and Henry came across from third man to try and make the catch. Bounced in between them, and he's got 1 run. It's a no ball called by umpire Tucker. That must be a front foot, is it?
Yeah, I presume it is, yeah. He's looking at the front foot now, is Rod Tucker. Just getting the replay of his front foot.
Ooh, yeah, well, it's on the line, isn't it?
The line's the umpires, yeah. It is on the line, so it's a close one, but correct call.
So a couple of runs added to the total, 130 for 8. Karuna Ratner back on strike. It's a free hit as well. Not much change to the field. Here's Ferguson up again from the far end, bowling to the left-hander who goes outside leg stump and ducks underneath it as it goes through to wicket-keeper Latham. He looks down the pitch, wants to get a wide call from Rod Tucker, but he says, well, look where you're standing. You've gone outside the leg stump.
You don't see that very often either, a free hit being ducked by a top order batsman. Maybe that's why he was hoping for the wide. He's followed him. It's pretty well bowled, to be honest.
130 for the loss of 8. Ferguson still with a couple of deliveries left in this, the 28th over. tug of the sleeve, and then a stuttery start as he gets into the rhythmical approach. Goes wide of the crease to Karuna Ratner, and this one's full outside the line of the off stump, so both players have got a plan, neither getting it to work at the moment.
They're certainly not thinking about batting these 23 overs out. They are trying to get on with it, trying to get as many as they can and as quickly as they can.
Yes, I think that's been very much in evidence probably since Matthews went out. Sarah Pereira had an impact on the game for a short period of time until he holed out into the deep. Ferguson bowls again to Karuna Ratner. Yorker length delivery, plays it defensively, just drops away at his feet. Ferguson says you're not having a single off this one, as it drops away into the offside to complete the 28th over. Luckmal 7, Karuna Ratner is 48, 130 for the loss of 8. I'll give you the full scorecard as we have it at the moment, with New Zealand winning the toss. Blues on strike, gets one which he has hit out into the offside and is caught. Short lifting delivery, Mitchell Santner comes in to take the catch as the ball climbed awkwardly on Luckmal, and so another wicket falls. The 9th of the innings. Luckmal goes, and that's 130 for the loss of 9, with Luckmal dismissed, caught by Santner from the bowling of Bolt's first wicket, and he'll be happy with that. He hasn't looked at his peak. Paul Fabregas comes back to join me, but that will be an encouraging wicket for Trent Bolt.
Harvey Norman, long weekend, still above.
Former captain Lasith Malinga, who captained the side in New Zealand recently, has made his way out into the middle, and well, he's been around the scene for a long time. But he's the last chance for Sri Lanka to lift their total much higher, 130 for 9. Karuna Ratner goes away to welcome him to the crease, and has just reminded him that it's Trent Bolt.
I think he's going to get another welcome in his first couple of balls as well from Trent Bolt. I don't think it'll be quite as pleasant as the welcome he's just had there from Karuna Ratner.
And if he lasts through that welcome, he's got Ferguson at the other end.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing with Lasith, though, he has played some important rearguard innings for Sri Lanka. He's actually he can apply himself, and he does get stuck in. He is a fighter, so I don't think he'll be quite as flamboyant perhaps as Suranga Luckmal's been in the last 10 minutes.
Well, 1/2 century in this sort of game. Yes. Paul Fabregas, of course, you've been coach at Sri Lanka, so you know some of these players reasonably well over a long period of time. Here's Bolt bowling to Malinga, and this one's short, and he just leans away from it and guides it by shifting his body weight onto the back foot and opening the face and running it down towards third man for a single to take the strike away from Bolt. Just watching a replay of that catch. Santner was a little slow out of the blocks, but he got there to take it.
Good cricketer, Santner. I like him. I think he's obviously the period of time he's been out in the New Zealand side with his injuries, back in there, so he'll play a big part in this World Cup for them. I think down the order, in a finishing role with the bat, he's a dangerous player, Santner, isn't he? Very dangerous, and he'll play a big part as the wickets change in this tournament. He'll play a big part with the ball as well. 131
for 9. Bolt going into bowl to Karuna Ratner. Last pair at the crease, and it's guided down towards short third man. Slight misfield there by Mikey Ferguson, but didn't create any issues. Karuna Ratner will wait a little bit longer try and take some strike, but he'll probably have some faith in Malinga as well. As I say, he's got a half century at one-day international level, Malinga.
It's a tricky one, isn't it, for Karunaratne? I mean, he knows he's got to score. They go on try and get 180 if they can, but at the same time, he's running out of people at the other end to support him.
Bold pass to him, and this one is a full-length delivery, and he hits it down into the ground. It runs away behind square as he plays it out towards the middle. Throw at the bowler's end, and it was Colin de Gruyter who got there. He got two, and he's got a half century.
He deserves it. He's played very well, hasn't he? He has played very well. It's not been easy for him. He's not really got into a rhythm of batting when you're losing wickets consistently the other end. But the reason they picked him is because exactly this. He can be the glue for their innings at the top of the order. You talked a lot earlier about the fact that he is seen as more of a test match player. Strike rate of 61, he won't be bothered by that. If he can bat through and get them scores of 75, 80, and others can bat round him and give them a chance.
133 for 9, Bolt Bostrom. This one's short, and he clubs it up towards mid-off. It'll be fielded there by Williamson, and there's no run. Well, of course, what he's trying to do is to get partnerships going, and there's just no partnerships there for him, is it, Phil?
No, you're right on the partnerships. 2 partnerships of note, 52 and 42. The next high is 16. His 50 came off 81 balls, including 4 fours.
He's played a big part for his team there. If he can get, if he could get himself another 30 runs, and Sri Lankans could get themselves somewhere up to 170, 180, they would think they've got a chance. But at the moment, they're a long way off a winning score.
133 for 9. Here goes Bolt bowling to Karunaratne down the leg side. It could be called wide. Yes, it is. Slow wide call from umpire Ian Gould. He's not going to stress himself. That's a wide. I'll just bring the arms out. No flourish.
You almost encouraged the arms away from his pockets there, didn't you? It was almost, you talked his hands away from his legs at that point.
I've got to do it. It's a wide. Of course, his international career is coming to an end too, isn't it? Here's Bolt bowling to Karunaratne, full of length, worked away under the onside. The Grundheim has turned it away on the... Has gone round to pick it up down in the deep for a single, and one more run taken. Isn't he giving the game away at top level?
Ian Gould?
My car keeps making a funny noise.
Enjoyed Paul Farbrace.
Yeah, it's an interesting time now for Karunaratne. He's got he needs to score runs. It's not a case necessarily of batting out these 21 overs. It's more a case of seeing if they can get themselves another 50 for this last wicket, Kevin.
Ferguson in bowling, looking for that last wicket. It's been lifted high. It could be caught out in the deep. Yes, a very good catch. Superb catch that from Sadna. A deep backward square leg, and it's Sri Lanka all out for 135. Karunaratne is out for 51 off 83 balls, and Ferguson gets a 3rd wicket. He swung at that good low catch. We're waiting to see if the catch was taken legally, I guess.
Ian Gould was at square leg, and he was probably the closest one to that, and he signalled straight away that it was a clean catch. He's happy with it, but Rod Tucker has reviewed it. He's going to go to the 3rd umpire, Nigel Long. I'm pretty convinced from the angle I'm at here that he's caught that cleanly. Santner's very convinced that he's caught that cleanly. So I'm giving that out without Nigel Long's help.
And we have to go through the whole process here of front foot. It's one of the things about when you use technology for this, it sort of takes away a little bit of the moment. For those of you listening in New Zealand, by the way, I think it's coming up sort of midnight time, your time. Just take a look at this. And seems the fingertips down towards the ground.
They never look great when you review them like that. They never look good. That's landed on his fingers. That's out for me.
Yeah,
I'm giving that out.
They are taking, and again, this is the problem of the angles.
Yeah, that every time you look at a catch like that, it looks as though the ball is landed on the floor. I think his fingers are under that, and I think that should be out. But I can see Nigel Long giving that not out.
Yes, because he can be. No, they're going with it.
The fingers are under it, and they're going to go with it. It's definitely the right decision.
Nigel can be a little cautious. Nigel.
I don't blame him to be a bit cautious.
He's called it not out, and he's calling them all back in. So now this is a little bit of a problem because Nigel Long, I think, has called it not out. He's calling them.
He has.
Yeah, so we're back to where we were. Santner won't be too pleased with that because it really did look clean when we saw it taken in real time. But it does mean that Sri Lanka now are 136 for 9. Whenever you take a look at a catch, or nearly 9 times out of 10 you take a look at a catch on the replays, there is going to be some doubt. The reason you take a look at it is you just want to make sure it's clean. The umpire out there, Ian Gould, he thought it was clean. That was a clean catch. Nigel Long putting a difficult position because you take a look at that, there's an element of doubt.
And that's why, when we looked at the pictures there does look like there's doubt. Watching the catch live, and Ian Gould was in the best position. He was probably 30 yards away. He turned, he followed the flight of the ball, and he was convinced he was looking head on into that. As soon as you bring cameras in that are higher up, looking down onto the pitch, very often they start to look suspicious. And my guide was Santner's reaction. He knew that he caught that. I'm giving that out. But
for 2 reasons that should have been out, because one, the umpire there with the best view, Ian Gould, said it was out. The fielder said it was out. He took it cleanly. It should have been out. Goes to the TV umpire, Nigel Long, put in a difficult position. He can't be certain, therefore he has to give what he sees, which is actually there's some doubt there.
Absolutely.
Because of the angles of the TV cameras. Next delivery, balled him anyway. He's gone. Next ball, Malinga. Yorker, stumps not quite out of the ground, but that's the way to answer it when you feel a little bit miffed. It didn't quite go your way. Now Sri Lanka roll out for 136, and Ferguson has his 3rd wicket.
that doesn't need reviewing, does it? You don't need to review that one. That's as out could possibly be in the game. The ball, full toss in the end, hitting middle and off stump and knocking the bails off, and Rod Tucker and Ian Gould don't need to get involved in that one.
Look at Gould. He's off to have a word with Nigel Long now.
I think he is. He's got a bit of a stride on, hasn't he, over there towards the boundary edge. But it is a tough one for the umpires. Whenever cameras are involved to review a catch, and the cameras are the positions are all high, looking down at ground level, it always makes it look a dubious catch. It's a difficult one.
Again, a strange couple of balls there, because it looked like Carol Konatny would not be the second person to carry his bat in World Cup cricket. He was reprieved, Malinga was out. He is now the second player to carry his bat in World Cup cricket. He follows Ridley Jacobs of the West Indies against Australia back in 1999.
Maybe that's what Nigel Long was thinking about.
Maybe.
Phil,
you do wonder, don't you?
Well, you do wonder.
You'd hate to be a spoiler of
If
records.
you've got a card for there, you could just pass across me, because we've got to just run through what's happened here before we go off to Bristol, which we will be shortly. Of course, it's double-header day today.
Ridley Jacobs wouldn't have been my other guess in that question, if that had been a question. Who was the other batsman to carry his bat? I certainly wouldn't have been going Ridley Jacobs.
It would have been a little, shall we say, random to have come up with that name. And I would have been just a little concerned about those many long nights you might have spent reading books instead of going out. SriLanka coming into bowl again. To some to Guptill and angled. Oh, dropped. Just short, maybe a second slip. Just fell just short. So, tall figure of Guptill. With the target of 137 needed. Guptill has faced a couple of balls. One just fell short there of the man at second slip, just falling shy of the bowling of Lasith Malinga, bowling from the river end. It's Guptill and Munro. The opening pair here for New Zealand. Those listening online have just been talking about the crowd, the enthusiasm. There still is very attacking field. Gosh, they've got to be attacking. There's only one way they're going to win this game. There are two slips. Then you've got sort of out to fourth slip and a gully out there as well. Two catching positions. Malinga in. This is high over the top of extra cover. It's going to be one bounce, two bounces and four from Guptill into his stride from his third ball face. A little fortunate maybe on that previous ball where it just dropped short of second slip, but the power of Guptill and the power of Munro, it would be hoped, Jeremy Coney, former New Zealand skipper alongside me, that those two in an ideal world can just quickly get into their stride and quickly get this game won. However, it may not play out that way.
Absolutely. It can go many ways, of course, as we know. But yeah, that's a good start from Guptill. A little bit of good luck. Second ball, then a broad shouldered shot.
Malinga into Guptill, a little straighter, pushed up to mid off. He'll have to go through quickly, getting those tall legs pumping. Mind you, he's looking for a second with the throw, but settles for one. That's probably sensible. So it's 5 for no wickets, 4 balls into the innings.
There's a lot of discussion back in New Zealand, Kevin, about the position of opener and should it be held by Munro. I think that New Zealand, the selection panel like him for the way that he plays. In other words, he's got a strike rate up very high, sort of 120, something like that, getting 2 runs or a ball, in other words. But he just doesn't last long enough. And he relies very much on some good fortune. He's a confidence player. If he can come off, then it's a masterstroke. But so far this season, look, there are men running everywhere now that he's on strike, running for cover. He really can hit a cricket ball, but more often than not, he's found that he is a bit wanting because of his technique. He just doesn't do the basics of the game.
Now, I'll spread out. There's just one slip-in for Malinga coming into Munro now. Munro on the leg stump. It tips that not round the corner, but square, actually. The man coming off the lakeside boundary. A single, so he's off the mark, and it's 6 for no wickets. Phil?
Yeah, Colin Munro's ODI figures. 51 games, batted 47 times, just 7 50s, an average of just under 25, but a strike rate of just under 106.
Yeah, well, you see, the scoring rate is fine. I mean, but it's the number of runs he scores that there's a bit of a question mark about it. A quick 15 to 20, what does it matter?
Guptill's on 5, he's back on strike. There's a 4 there behind square on the leg side. I was going to say very statuesque, but when that ball comes his way, he quickly into position and plays the way to the boundary on the leg side. So aside from the one which fell just a little short of the second slip, that's a good over for Guptill especially. He's on to 9, Munro on 1, and New Zealand 10 for no wicket after 1 over, the target being 137. So who are the other contenders then? Who in the debate? Who may be?
Well, obviously Latham. And I don't know whether the feeling was that can he keep, because that allows New Zealand to play 6 bowlers, just the balance of the side, and because he bats in the top 6, he'll probably come in at 5, I would think, today, whereas in my opinion should be 6, but that's okay. He could have opened. That's one possibility. They've manufactured an opener because Munro hasn't done so well. They've put Nichols up there, who's normally a middle order player. But they could have looked outside the square, outside the family, if you like, of players. And there were a couple of obvious people to give a go. There's a fella called Rutherford, Hamish Rutherford down in Otago, down in the south of the South Island. He could have certainly been looked at.
Saranga Lakmal is going to bowl the second over. He's bowling from this Cathedral Road end in and bowls, and that hits him on the body, Munro. Nice and straight from Lakmal. It's 132 kilometres per hour. 10 for no wicket then. The crowd getting back into their seats. It's a quick turnaround in ODIs. Normally in this format you have a nice 45 minutes for
it's
a nice
comfortable, isn't it?
It's comfortable.
No indigestion.
This may not be an issue for people under the age of 35, but for those over 35 and 40,
and
which just look at, well, yes, maybe we're in that age group.
We are.
I think
we manfully made our way up the steps, didn't we? Waddled.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wasn't manful?
Well, I didn't feel very manful at the time. Next delivery is pushed back up to the bowler. There will be no run. What are you going to say about poor old Watts? You're not going to drop the minute that he went in the lift.
Watts went up in the lift, didn't he?
Maybe that was sensible. Perhaps we weren't sensible.
Yeah, but he was late for his shift.
Well, he wasn't.
You can't do that, you see.
He wasn't to know. So anyway, I think as the organising committee no doubt have a bit of a get-together, maybe some sort of telephone conference each evening, that perhaps we need to put forward our idea, that perhaps just to extend it by 7 minutes or something. Give us 37 minutes or something.
Well, if you're lining up in the queue...
I know. There was some
Mr. Farbrace was there behind. Yeah. I would have thought more experience would have got him higher up in the
Munro
queue.
comes down the pitch and tries to heave that away. Actually gets a bottom edge down along the ground, down towards fine leg, and a bit of a relay ground throw of sorts will mean they get 2 runs. He's on to 3, and New Zealand 12 for no wicket in this second over. There's some fast tracking going on now. For those listening in New Zealand, in Britain, it can upset people sometimes, the idea of fast-tracking. We do like a queue, and you take your place in the queue.
You do. Queuing is very important here, isn't it? It's a social moment.
And when it involves food and getting food, to have people fast-track, because apparently they're more important to get back for the start of it. It's not going to go down well. It's not going to go well. This time a little width through to the wicketkeeper, and there will be no run. So I'm just pointing this out. The organising committee, I'm sure we've got other things to discuss this evening.
It's transgressing all the egalitarian principles and sensibilities. We get, you know, queue, it's where you find how society works.
Yeah, well...
We don't like queuing in New Zealand.
However, positive. What a lovely lunch it was. Beautiful, lovely food.
When we got it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it was beautiful. No, I was straight. I wasn't part of the fast tracking, but I did get more or less straight to the front.
Oh, you were
Munro on 3, next delivery, and that's pushed. I 10-2 with food. This one is pushed up to mid-on, and there will be no run. 12 for no wicket. The second. Yeah, people say to me, they say you should be more pushy in life, Kevin. You know, put yourself forward. I tell you, they need to see me in a queue for food, and they'll see the real me. There's no problems there. Meantime, Afghanistan are 3 for 1, electing to bat first. That was described on the commentary I heard as a positive move by Afghanistan to bat there, but they are 3 for 1. And it's Mohammad Shahzad, who's been bowled by Stark. So next delivery in bowls and worked away here in Cardiff onto the leg side by Munro. He will get a single. He moves up to 4, and after 2 overs it's 13 for no wicket, a target of 137.
Yeah, well, Lakmal, he's getting a little bit of movement in the air, back into the left-handed Colin Munro, and I think he's just a wee bit too straight. In other words, he's coming into the swing and the arc of Munro, which is always from off to leg. Look at the way he sets up. I mean, he sets up very openly, knees almost so bent that you miss access to the ball, because they're just so bent that there's no room for the bat to come down in a nice pendulum of Big Ben, if you like. So it makes it, see, look, you watch, it's kind of slightly crab-like. As the bowler runs in, he'll even bend lower. The knees very bent, aiming towards wide mid-wicket.
He is so low. Doesn't really get up either for that ball. He just plays it away down towards the fine leg fielder for a single. He moves on to 4, and the score is 14 for no wicket in third over.
So I think if Lakmal can get it outside the off stump and then bring it back towards the off stump, he's got much more chance of either getting a nick or an inside edge as the bat comes down on that quite angle from gully through to kind of straight mid-wicket, you know, to try and hit it into the leg side. If he gets too straight, then it's just going to be a pick-up and a working with that line that he can... it's much more likely to be successful, I think, for Munro.
Malinga's
at the end of his run again. Guptill is facing. He's on 9, not out from 5 balls. He just walks a couple of paces, then breaks into his stride, and he's in now. The very familiar figure of Malinga to Guptill. Works it away, finds a bit of a gap, enough to go through for a single. He moves up to 10, and it's 15 for no wicket in the 3rd over. For those joining us, by the way, Sri Lanka all out for just 136 from 29.2 overs. Matt Henry 3 for 29. Good bowling from Matt Henry, but Lockie Ferguson 3 for 22, 6.2 overs. He and his moustache could prove one of the big hits of this.
It's wispy, I'd have to say.
Wispy, yeah. Yours is fully
insubstantial.
grown. Yours is fully grown. It's
But
looking good.
he may have only just started that recently. I don't know. Well, let's give him time to show his virility.
Next delivery, Malinga bowls full and kept out well by Munro up to mid-off, and there will be no run.
See, with Munro as well, there he's had to stop the bat as it comes down, going towards sort of that straight mid-wicket. Then he's got to use his hands to straighten it, to hit it out to the offside. Quite a hard thing to slow that acceleration of the bat down and turn it around and access that offside as well. Fine if it's short, Kevin, fine if it's short. He's nicely positioned for the cut shot and so on, and those baseball shots straight down the ground.
Munro's on 5, not out from 9 balls face. Malinga into him now, bowls, maybe a little slow, but on the leg stump and worked away on that onside by Munro. He's on to 6, and the score up to 16 for no wicket. 2 balls left of the 3rd over. Phil Long.
As we're in World Cup territory, probably a good time to remind everyone of Martin Guptill's innings in the last World Cup. He made 237 not out, the highest.
West Indies, played in the West Indies.
Against the West Indies at Wellington. 237 out, 163 balls, 24 fours and 11 sixes.
Well, he's a very important cog in this New Zealand side. He hits through the ball quite nice. He slices it sometimes.
And that's a wideish delivery, which he tries to cut, plays and misses through to the keeper.
He's had 2 relative failures in the warm-up games, and the way he's started here suggests to me he's not going to put the sandbags up and bat and bat and bat, you know, and take time, as we saw Karuna. It's not going to be a Karuna-Ratner innings. It's going to be it's more broad-shouldered. It's going to be playing at the ball. It's going to be hitting the ball hard, trying to work himself in and find some rhythm with his batting.
Should be the last ball of the over now. Malinga to Guptill, and Guptill will play that to mid-on. Not enough room to go through for a single, so that's the end of that over. 16 for no wicket after 3 overs, 137 the target. More from Phil.
Just quickly.
You're on fire.
Oh, apologies, Kev. Yes, after that dash up after lunch. 5 and 22 Martin Guptill's made in the 2 warm-up games on this tour so far.
But how many one-day innings, how many one-day centuries has he got for New Zealand? Would it be over 10? Be more like maybe 15, something like
That's
that.
Where he's got to press a couple of
yeah,
buttons.
well, it does. That's why we're getting him through this. This is showing the value of your broadcasting experience.
Well, I've got it. No, you started it. Why have I got to get him through it?
He's made 16 ODI 100s.
There you are.
How quick was that? Next delivery, Lakmal coming into bowl to Munro. And hits him on the pads. LBW appeal, but surely going down and maybe a little bit high. And also at the same time, it's going to be a signal, the leg bye by umpire Ian Gould. And it's 17 for no wicket. I mean, he wouldn't have enjoyed having to rush his food at lunchtime either, Gould. And in fairness, he probably may have more sway with the organising committee than you and I, if he needs to put that forward, saying that perhaps they need to extend it by a couple of minutes or so. But so you raise that question about Munro. You say that's one of the debating issues at the moment.
Well, it is.
Are there many, lots others? Or what would you say with the coming into this tournament where the question mark? New Zealand looks strong. They're in the top 4 of the world. We know they generally go very well in these competitions. They're a highly skilled team, but just 1 or 2 other maybe talking points of what supporters or you yourself looking out to see how they go about things to start off with. 2 slips going down and a gully, and it's Guptill on 10 and defensively pushed into the offside. No run.
I think the death overs, generally, who will bowl those overs. Bolt will be there. I'm not quite so sure about the others, how that will go. And someone like Ferguson, for example, I think could well be used coming around the wicket to, say, a right-hand batsman and bowling that full ball going across towards the wide line, you know, the guide, and therefore restricting the batsman, if he's a right-hander, to basically third man and round to sort of sweep
on 10, pushed into the offside, no run again. Sorry to interrupt.
No, my fault. And so you can then set a field to that. You shouldn't really, at full like that, at his pace, at that width, you shouldn't really be hit on the onside too much. Maybe mid-on. If you get it wrong, you might get an inside edge which will run fine to fine leg or something like that as well. But you can actually restrict, I think, the way the scoring and where it goes. And I'm not sure I've seen enough of that so far from the New Zealanders. Didn't have a chance today.
Lakmal into Guptill again, right arm to the right-handed over the top of Gully, down towards the third man. There is a man out there, and that's a single. He moves on to 11, and New Zealand to 18 for no wicket. 2 balls left to the 4th over.
That's good from Lakmal. Sri Lanka rely on him, don't they? And he's a genuine outswing bowler to a right-hander. Guptill's gone with that. He's seen that movement and he's gone at the last moment with the bottom hand to get it up and over. So we'll give the batsman the credit for that one. But it's more swing for Lakmal.
The crab-like stance of Colin Munro facing now as Lakmal is in and worked around to the onside. There's a big enough There's a big enough gap out there for them to go through for a single. It's good running from the pair as well. They haven't got a lot of runs needed here, just the 137, but they've got an urgency about them, an awareness. They're alert out there. So Munro's on to 7, Guptill on 11. It is one of the things about a one-sided game. Everybody would like to get your games won and get them won as comfortably as possible, but there is also that element at the start of the campaigns, how much you learn about yourselves. And at the moment, and there's still a long way to go in this game, but at the moment it's been very comfortable for New Zealand. I won't say easy, but comfortable. Guptill on 11. He swings at that one and a play and a miss through to the keeper. So Lakmal is causing problems here, and he's only conceded 1 leg by, and that's the end of the over. So there's a 1 leg.
The country's early edition.
Of the Lakmal over, he was looking to play very bristling with aggression. If there's any chance, he'll get into it. Round the wicket.
Comes round the wicket now to Munro.
But there's also a very other simple but important shot here, and that's this 50-50. It's a good confrontational angle. They say there are only 7 stories. I think there might only be 1 story. We all understand stories. It makes us believe we can all direct, and we probably all can. We all have our own instincts. What we have to do is back up that instinct with something called craft. I really want to demystify the role of the director. I'm going to stage a scene and let you watch me work with the actors, and action.
I thought today was a huge improvement. Are you nuts?
Play to each other. Are you nuts? Okay. You know, a beat of looking this way. Have the courage to face them a little bit. Why? I thought it was great. Is this a moment of momentum and drive? Or is this the conclusion of something? You know all these things intuitively, but as a director, you have to move beyond your intuition. There is no more powerful tool than a great actor making a strong performance choice. Collaboration fails all the time. Everything we do in this process fails all the time. You're in this role as kind of editor-in-chief of a lot of ideas. That alone will never really make the movie work. We all want the same thing: a great moment, a great scene, a great movie. This is what it takes, right? Ultimately, you are the storyteller. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how big your crew is, it doesn't matter how much money you have to spend, it's what you're capturing inside the frame lines that's going to have this impact on the audience or not. Go out, find a story you love, and tell it. Very good work. I'm Ron Howard, and this is my masterclass.
Plays inside edge onto his pads and runs away into the offside. No run. Fair play to Sri Lanka for their kit. I quite like this kit. Much was made of the England kit with the
sort
light
of
blue. But
1992, wasn't it?
Yeah, but here, Sri Lanka, I quite like their colours. Got a bit of yellow, bit of blue in there. Nice sort of mix and match themselves with their colours with it. The yellow's down their trouser legs. Very bright. And surprise, surprise, New Zealand well, actually, hasn't always been, of course, but they are in their all-black outfit today. Next delivery, and that's on the leg stump, and goes away very fine. Man just moves to his left-hand side in front of us down here. Left-arm throw from the deep, and they get another run. Move on to 20 for no wicket.
Don't mind that from Malinga coming around the wicket to Munro, because that different angle coming back into the off stump, so it's coming from outside his eye, a left eye and so on, that he can, hitting across it, he's going to run the risk of an inside edge. He just got that a little bit leg side, and Munro was quite gleefully latched onto it and got it down to fine leg.
So Malinga coming over the wicket here now. Right arm to Guptill, and that's a shorter ball which is pulled and way to the leg side, to deep square leg on the boundary. Kept down nicely by the big man Guptill.
That's a ferocious stroke, isn't it? I mean, he's really got the bat up, and it's, you know, it's the sound of, like a crack, you know, going like a rifle shot amongst pigeons, and a whole lot of thousands of eyes flash towards the boundary, following the ball. But it's he's looking very aggressive today, Guptill.
And yet he still keeps it down. He's like control over it.
Yeah, there's a bit of technique to go with the style.
Munro on 8. And it's Malinga coming around the wicket now. In and bowls. Full. Again, toe end of the bat down into the boot and into the offside. They need wickets. They need them quickly. They need, well, several things here. They need to instill a bit of confidence in themselves. They need to put a little bit of doubt. Can it be in New Zealand's minds as well? At the moment, none of that. Apart from, you know, some decent deliveries. But they need the wickets. They need to make the breakthrough. A couple of breakthroughs just to maybe put a little bit of doubt in the minds of New Zealand. But that target is so modest, 137. Back in New Zealand all the way here today. It's only match 3 on day 3 of the World Cup. And Malinga comes around the wicket, in and bowls. And again, down onto the boots. And enough space for them to go through for a single. And...
But you see,
moves on to 22 for no wicket.
There's the problem for Munro. The ball coming from outside the off stump back towards him, and the bat coming down towards mid-on, it doesn't kind of match. It's just not the way you think you can last. And he's getting all the inside edges, isn't he, into his boots and they're just trickling out from his pads on the offside, and that's what allowed them to take the single. But it's good thinking from Malinga, actually, the old warrior. And he's been removed from the captaincy, and if you believe the reports, he was furious about that. But he's still there.
And it's Guptill with Malinga bowling 2 again. He plays that even better this time. It's got power, but it's also got placing. Good placing there, just to the right-hand side of the man at deep square leg on the boundary. It's a 4 to finish off that over. Guptill moves to 16. New Zealand at 26 for no wicket after 5 overs with a target of 137. Jeremy Coney perhaps on that shot or whatever, and then it'll be Brian Waddle replacing.
Well, the shot, I mean, it's the same stroke that I was talking about before, that power, and it's a handsome stroke too, and appropriate for the short pitch delivery, and it tells us that Guptill's in some mood at this stage. It's controlled, but it's savage at the same time. So and he's starting to look as if he's playing strokes that are appropriate to the ball that's bowled. At the other end, Munro's having to battle with himself right now. He's getting a few little inside edges and so on. He hasn't got really a nice clean stroke away yet.
Well, he's waiting for the first delivery of a new over from Lackmar from our broadcasting end. This one down leg side. It's taken by the pad, and it wasn't taken by the pad. In fact, it missed it completely. There was a deviation, and I thought it had got the pad, but it was well snaffled by the wicketkeeper, but called wide all the same. 21 for no wicket, New Zealand. 137 is the target. I'll go through the Sri Lankan scorecard for you. They were sent into bat when New Zealand won the toss today. Good toss to win. Well, not conditions that were dangerous, but just encouraging for New Zealand type conditions for their bowlers. Here's Lackmar bowls to Munro, placed firmly into the onside, out towards mid-wicket. It's going to be picked up inside the boundary. They've got one, will end up with two. Oh, slight misfield, they should get three. No, Munro, he got a crack on the foot in one of the warm-up games, is not prepared to go for the third one and take another crack on the toes, so he settles for just two.
That's a better shot from Munro. It's on leg stump, which is where he feels much more comfortable, but it was actually timed. It went along the ground. There's no one in that circle for Sri Lanka other than mid-on. They're looking for the boundaries, and to save those boundaries, so men are out on that leg side, especially to Munro. They're both fine leg and backward square, so they're the two men out.
And now they've had to make an adjustment, take a slip out and put him into the short mid-wicket region, because that's an area where he will go. 29 for no wicket. Guptill 16, Munro 11. 137 is the target. Thirumanna was LBW to Henry for 4, that in the first over. Pereira was caught to Gronholm, bowled Henry for 29. Here's Lackmar bowling to Munro, and Munro gets it on the pad. No run for him this time, because that player who'd been taken out of slip was there to prevent a single being taken. But the running and the judgment of the run has been pretty good between this pair. Pereira caught to Gronholm, bowled to Henry for 29. Mendes caught Guptill, bowled Henry, no score. De Silva, LBW Ferguson for 4. Matthews caught Latham, bowled to Gronholm for no score. Mendes caught by Neesham from the bowling of Ferguson for 1. Tisara Pereira caught bowled Santner for 27. Here's the next delivery from Lackmar to Munro, who goes over the cover region and out to the boundary for 4. Short lifting, give it a bit of width, and help himself. He's got that aggressive stance at the crease. He's got that pugnacious boxer stance, isn't he?
He has.
And he hits with some power.
He does. And that's going into the power. That's going to an area of his strength. The short pitched balls, I say, he's set up to cut the ball quite well. He doesn't worry whether it goes in the air or not, but as long as he makes a good contact. But that, again, as Lackmar is going to those areas, at the moment he hasn't found that nice length outside off stump, bringing it back in to kind of hit the off stump. He's either two leg side, going to Munro's strength, or short.
33 for none. Munro uses his feet, hits down the ground, high and long, will clear the boundary, into the stand for 6.
Well, that's a little shimmy, and you've got to give Munro, his plaudits there, because he's actually come down at the bowler. He's made it into a kind of just a short of half volley length and just hit through the ball, and he's made a good contact this time. And these boundaries are certainly not going to challenge him when he hits the ball like that.
Moves on to 21. Guptill is 16 and a 39 for no wicket. Changes to the field. The onside field certainly has changed, and Lackmar's decided to go round the wicket as well. And he does to Munro, who's forced back onto his stump, cramped a little, can't free up the arms, and plays it up towards mid-on. Tisara Pereira does the field. But they've made that adjustment on the onside for Munro by taking the slip fieldsman out. He's gone now to forward of square leg inside the circle, and the square leg is now out towards the mid-wicket boundary region. There's a long leg and a mid-on as well. Inside the circle on the offside, there's a slip, backward point, or short third man more than backward point, extra cover, and mid-off. So 2 men out, both on the leg side. There's Lackmar to Munro, full of length, worked into the onside again, almost on Yorker length there, trying to expose that toe, or that foot that got whacked in the warm-up game against India. Bumrah, wasn't it?
Yep.
And the over comes to an end. 40 for none, 6 bowled. Guptill is 16, Munro is 22. Just finishing off that scorecard for Sri Lanka. Udana was caught, Henry bowled by Neesham for no score. Lucknow caught Santner, bowled Bolt for 7. And Malinga bowled Ferguson for 1. Poor old Karunaratne was left not out. Battered through the innings. Needed some support, only got it on a couple of occasions, modest support, and he was not out. 52. Very good hand he played. There were 11 extras, 136 in the 30th over. For New Zealand, Henry 3 for 29 from 7. Bolt 1 for 44 from 9. Ferguson 3 for 22 from 6.2. Malinga round the wicket, bowling to Munro, and Munro is hitting the ball in the air, down towards third man for 4. Again, just helping it on its way, wide of the fieldsman inside the circle, and he's starting to get the range. You know, he's starting to get the middle of the bat more often as well, and he goes through to 26 from 23, 44 for none.
Yeah, done the bulk of the striking. Guptill's only had 14 deliveries. He's on 16 at the moment, and he's played a big drive in the first over and then a succession of hook strokes against Malinga as he's dragged it down a wee bit to Guptill.
And we've got the highest opening partnership of the ICC Men's World Cup of 2019 so far.
He's got it out early.
That's a record.
Bringing it out.
Here's Malinga bowling to Munro, and always a bouncer. And is it called wide, or is it? No, it's okay. And over shoulder height, so taken down leg side by the wicketkeeper. So finishing off those figures, Ferguson, pick of the bowlers to my mind, although Henry had a very good hand. Both of them probably did their job beyond the expectations of many people. De Grant 1 for 14 from 2, Neesham 1 for 21 from 3, and Santner 1 for 5 from 2. So they all did a job, really, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Sri Lanka made it look a little bit harder than in fact it should have been. I mean, yes, there was a little bit of support there for the bowlers if they got it right. They made too many errors, Brian.
Malinga continues round the wicket to Munro. It's a Yorker links delivery which he squeezes out down towards a long leg, and will get a run for it as the fieldsman is in very quickly from the boundary to ensure there's only one. 45. Another record first wicket partnership was created with that single.
It grows and grows.
So 136 was the disappointing score set to Sarah Pereira. 27 from 23, looked capable right throughout and was dangerous, but
just
only
gave a glimpse. Yeah, very clean hitter, isn't he? We know that from playing in New Zealand.
And he will punish some.
Oh, he will get some. Yes, he'll get someone on this tournament.
Malinga back over the wicket, bowling to Guptill, and close to the stumps. It's full toss. Turn behind square, running down towards the boundary. Long chase round there for mid wicket, and they'll get 2 runs. As didn't quite come from the middle of the bat, but enough wide of the fieldsman inside the circle to give him a couple more. Guptill enjoying the opportunity to open with, well, on this occasion, Munro. It's going to be interesting to see where New Zealand go with their opening partnership, because they're in the trial situation still, aren't they? You would think that they would be here at the World Cup with a settled opening partnership, but they've got to find a place for Nicholls, perhaps. Here's Malinga bowls to Guptill, who hits in the air, out towards cover. Not quite timed, but there'll be a single for him. And Guptill moves to 19, Munro 27, 48 for none. But Nicholls, on his recent form, probably deserves a place in the side. He's done well for New Zealand.
Where does he fit, Brian?
Yeah, that's the issue they have, isn't it? Because they don't have anybody in the top 6 who bowls. Like
that is a problem.
Yeah, like some other sides. If they had Williamson or some, even
why
Munro,
is Williamson? Have you ever found out? Have you asked him why he's so reluctant to bowl?
I wouldn't dare.
Why?
Well, he's the captain. I mean, he makes the decision. I haven't actually. Here's Malinga bowls to Munro, who slaps this one away behind square, out towards the boundary. It's going to be picked up just inside the boundary. Good teamwork there. Very cleverly done. Flicked up to the supporting player, and that's the New Zealand 50. So is that the first 50 partnership of the World Cup?
It is, Brian, yes, the first 50. You're all over this now.
Yeah, I've got the records. I've got them in my hand here. 50 for no wicket. and a good start by New Zealand in pursuit of 137. That's the kind of start that New Zealand would want. The importance of not losing early wickets, to my mind, is key to establishing good totals. Jimmy Anderson comes back in place with Jeremy Coney. I mean, it's something that you would know well from involvement with the England side. The opening partnership generally has provided, or the top 3 or 4 have provided the bulk of the runs, haven't they? And they do it consistently. Yes, there was an early wicket the other day, but there was always someone to come in and do the business, wasn't there?
Definitely, yeah. I think it's about setting the tone as well. It's the same. Bowlers are meant to do it all the time, but I think batsmen can do it too.
Lakmal bowls to Guptill short. He was shaping to play a big stroke, but then just defended it down into the ground, and the bowler did his own fielding.
Yeah, you want to see. I think you want to see intent from. The impression I get from someone saying you've got to set the tone as an opening bowler is you've obviously got to be on the money with where you want the ball to go, but you've also got to show some intent and a bit of aggression, and I think that's the same with the opening pair. You can be aggressive and show intent without just going out there and slogging and swinging off your feet, and I think that's where England have been very successful recently.
Yes, Lakmal bowls to Guptill, and Guptill leaves us offside. Yeah, I spoke to Kane Williamson yesterday, and also to Craig McMillan, the batting coach, and McMillan said there's no secret how some sides are going to go about the top of their batting order, the first 10, 20, 25 overs or so. There are sides that have that ability to devastate attacks. And I said, is that New Zealand's way? And Williamson basically said, no, they've got to be adaptable to certain conditions. They can't always line themselves up to play that style of game. It might not always suit their desires. Here's Lakmal bowls to Guptill. He gets a short ball, gets the bottom inside edge and pulls it away behind square. There'll be a couple for him as it goes down to Malinga, down in the deep, and they get to 2 more to lift the score up to 52 for none. Guptill to 21.
Well, that's spot on. I think New Zealand chasing a low total here, so their opening pair can play in a certain way, trying to chase that down as quickly as possible. But if they'd have batted first on this wicket, I'm sure we'd have seen a very different approach, a very slightly more watchful. But saying that, you still want to. It's a tricky one, because on a pitch that's seamy, you don't want to just go into your shell and you end up blocking balls back. You can still rotate the strike. You can still maintain that positive frame of mind to hit the bad ball when you get it.
Lakmal bowls to Guptill, who's onto the back foot, punches it up to Tisara Pereira. They know there's a single there. He's not the quickest, and the single is taken. 53 for no wicket. Well, you more than anybody would know that there are sides now who basically target 6 and over through their innings, aren't they? I mean, that seems to be almost the desired result, and you as a bowler have to try and keep it under 6 and over, don't you? And that's the dilemma bowlers face, isn't it?
That's just it, yeah. And I don't even think some teams put a ceiling on it. They don't even say we want to go at this. They say, well, let's see what we can get. But it's just it's adapting to those conditions. One day they might think, right, 280 could be a winning score here, and some days, I can see it with this England team at the minute. They go out there and realise it's a good pitch, and they think 400 might be on the cards today, and it's not too far to actually try and get it.
Lakmal bowls to Munro, and this one's a slower delivery. He guides it through the offside, played with perfection, past the inner circle, and brings a couple more runs. And that was nice to see from Munro, who generally is a player who bludgeons the ball, but a slower delivery, and he just guided it, taking some of the pace off it and getting a couple for it. Already 5 runs from the over, 55 for none. Yeah, I suppose there was a time, when people would say, and we in the media would do it, we would say, how many runs do you think in this pitch? And the players would say, well, I don't know. We'll only know when we get out there. It looks like a 400 pitch, but actually plays like a 250, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. That's again, that opening partnership, that's where it's crucial, both with bat and ball, but more so with the bat. That if you're batting first on a pitch, the messages that come back to the dressing room about how many you think is a good score in that first 10 is crucial.
Yeah, Lakmal round the wicket to Munro. Flicks it away on the onside, behind square, away to the boundary for 4. Picked it up nicely. Again, not really overhitting the ball, just using the pace of the ball and putting it perfectly into the gap for the boundary. This will do Munro the world of good, because he's been a player who, he's got 28 deliveries, and that generally has been the style of his innings. He gets a very good and well-compiled 30, 40 from 28 deliveries. They need him to bat a little bit longer, and he's done it well. 59 for none. He's 35 now.
Yeah, he's played nicely. I think both these guys have played nicely. Attacked when they can, and also just knocked it round when the opportunity's been there. You said with Munro in that last over with the slow ball from Lackmell, he just used what pace was on the ball and found the gap on the offside and picked up 2 for it. And Lackmell's had a bit of shape actually. He's had a bit of swing back into the left-hander, but just not quite got his line right. He's bowled a couple of wides down leg side, and that ball there, he's swung into his pads and half volley on leg stump. A left-hander's not going to miss out on that.
That swing's hard to come by over here, isn't it?
With the white ball?
Yeah.
With the white ball, they've not swung at all.
Oh, you love the red ball.
Yeah, absolutely. But the white ball doesn't swing too much. You might get an over or 2 out of it, but not much more than that. But today we've seen Lackmell for, I think he's bowled 4 overs now. He's swung the ball all the way through them.
Yes, he's finished from this end, and Malinga's finished from the far end because he's been replaced by Yadana, and he's going to come in from the far end, the River Tough end, bowling his left armers, medium fast, and this one is driven up the ground by Guptill. Let's have a look and see. 129. That's an opening delivery. Might bowl a little bit quicker than that.
Latif Malinga, 4 overs, no maiden, 0 for 30 in that opening spell.
Sevens. New Zealand, well, they 8. There, see, they're going at 7s, aren't they? 59 for none. So, an excellent start. And you're right, Jimmy, the target's 137. It might be a different ball game if it was 287 or something over 300. You can't play with that sort of freedom. The pressure's off.
Yeah, and I think even with 250 on a pitch like this, we've seen some movement through the air, we've seen some movement off the pitch throughout the game. If you get 250 plus, then you're always in with a shout.
59 for none. Yadana bowls to Guptill and launches into a big swing. A little bit of late movement there too, wasn't it, when it went past the bat, I suppose, but not going to be a real threat. But he sort of it didn't come out cleanly from his hand. It looked as though he rolled his fingers over it.
Yeah, it looked like a bit of a leg cutter, and it's come back through the gate. He was trying to hit it into the river, but still with that movement.
I want to see one going to the river before I go home. Just to take my mind back to 1999. Of course, Chris Cairns was one player who could do that, and Colin Munro and Martin Guptill, they're both capable of hitting the big ball a long way. Here's Yadana bowls to Guptill, gets to the bottom edge, down towards third man. He was looking to play a square drive and almost turning and rolling the wrists over as he played it. He's got the bottom edge and it's gone down past slip to the boundary for 4. So good fortune as well, but if you've got a bit of width like that, you'll use it. 63 for none.
Yeah, no fielder at third man either for Sri Lanka. They've got the 2 men out of the circle on the square leg boundary and the point boundary. There's a man going down there now, but we saw New Zealand bowl most of their overs without a third man. Kept that extra catcher in just for that attacking option, and wasn't too many runs that went down there actually. Maybe a couple of 4s, but using that extra attacking option.
Well, there's Yadana bowling again to Guptill, and this one's a top edge down towards third man, and it's going to go for 4. It's gone finer. There'd been a player put down on the 45, and that was Mendes, but he wasn't able to prevent that one going for a boundary. And you know, the luck is with you in these circumstances, and Guptill got away with that one for another boundary. Goes to 30, 67 for none.
He's actually played the pull shot really well today. That was the first one he's not connected with. Sort of got the toe of the bat and went over first slip's head. Fine of the man at third man.
So they've just got the one slip, backward point, just forward of point of fieldsman. Here's Guptill getting another thick inside edge. This one going away on the onside, but he can afford to do that now. He's got the freedom to hit out. 68 for no wicket currently. And we have news from the other game that's in progress. Australia playing against Afghanistan in Bristol. 32 for 2 Afghanistan after 8 overs, or in the 8th over. If you want to keep up to date with that one as well. Commentary online via BBC Sport website and app. And will be, I presume, on this channel when this game is completed. And they continue on with that. So 32 for 2 Afghanistan against Australia. 68 for none. Adana, last ball of the over to Munro, plays firmly up towards mid-off. No run for him though, as Malinga's there, and the over comes to an end, and that was 133, so he's probably...
Harvey Norman, long weekend, doorbuster deals.
Played their shots, they've got that freedom to be able to swing and try and clear the ropes, which they've been doing for a while now, and making easy work of it, really.
Good afternoon, James.
Good afternoon.
Well, when you're a bowling side and you've only got 136 to defend, and unless something extraordinary happens, you're probably going to lose the game. I mean, how do you go and how do you approach it?
Well, it can be difficult, but you realise that you're not expected to win the game, and all you can do is try and take wickets, try and make inroads. You know, I presume Sri Lanka will keep catches in to try and get wickets. That's the only way you're possibly winning the game. You needed wickets in the first 10, but they've not got that at the moment. You've just got to try and keep chipping away if you can.
Tessera Pereira comes into the attack, right arm over the wicket and bowls a wide ball. She's clobbered away into the offside, but straight to extra cover. There's no run. Nice and calm by Guptill and Munro. Just a little sign of aggression the last 2 or 3 overs, but this is the final over of the power play. But 68 without loss is the perfect start for Guptill, and for Munro chasing 137 to win the game here in the South Wales, the Cardiff Wales Stadium. The third match of the World Cup. As Pereira bowls short, muscled into the onside by Guptill. Might get 4 for it. He does. There's a deep square leg out on the boundary, but up onto his toes and swatted through mid-wicket for 4. Takes Guptill to 35 and New Zealand to 72. And as Brian mentioned, there is a second game now. So match number 4 of the World Cup is underway in Bristol. That's Afghanistan against Australia, and that's live on the BBC Sport website and the BBC Sport app. And 5 Live Sports Extra will be heading to the county ground in Bristol at the conclusion of this game. 72 without loss. Pereira for Sri Lanka in, back of a length delivery, which Guptill tries to force into the offside, but straight to extra cover. And there is no run, fielded by the captain, Karunaratne, who, well, held everything together, really, for Sri Lanka. That was an extremely good 52, wasn't it, Jimmy? And in a team skittled out for 136 and your captain carries your bat, that's a great effort.
It is, yeah, and he just needed someone to stay with him, someone in the top 6 just to stick around and try and build a partnership, because he made it look relatively easy.
Pereira bowls and Guptill launches it over mid-off. Enough to clear him? Yes. It might just plug in the ground, it does, and Guptill in the end is restricted to just the single, as the ball was up and over Lakmal at mid-off and plugged into the ground, hit the toe end of the bat from Guptill, and he's given that a very close examination now. 73 without loss. Guptill moves to 36. Last time I saw you, Jimmy, was only on Thursday, which was for a county championship game between Gloucestershire and Lancashire, and you came dancing down the pitch, launching the ball over mid-off into the college grounds in Cheltenham for a 6.
Yeah.
It was magnificent. How much did you enjoy that?
It was good, yeah. More luck than judgment.
Oh, see, you're taking the shine off it now.
Channeling my inner Owen Morgan, I think.
Ah, I see.
World Cup fever.
Pereira to Munro. And that's chopped into the offside, but to short extra cover, there's no run.
We needed some quick runs, so I thought my best option is to just have a swing. And he bowled the ball where I wanted it, really, and managed to get enough of it. Short boundary that end as well, wasn't it? At the Cheltenham College.
You're taking all the magic out of it now, James. There's Pereira. Bowls to Munro, and Munro edges in between the gap between keeper and that wide slip, and down towards the boundary for 4 runs. A little streaky, but they all count. Munro moves to 39, 10 overs gone in pursuit of 137. New Zealand at 77 without loss.
That's a bit strange from Sri Lanka, not having a catcher in when they need the only way they're going to get anything out of this game is to take wickets, and that has gone straight to sort of 1.5, probably to the left-hand side of first slip, and they'd have had a wicket there, but the catches have gone out, and looks like Sri Lanka have just resigned to this game petering out.
Yeah, power play over. That's the highest score in the power play of this ICC Men's World Cup 2019. Also the first power play where opening power play where wicket has been lost.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, 10 overs gone. That is a solid start, isn't it? Guptill and Munro. Guptill's on 36, and these two will fancy this, knocking this off between the pair of them. I think it require another 40 from this stage. There is a one slip, there's a point, there's a shortish extra cover, a deep point. Mid-off, mid-on. In fact, mid-off dropped back to the boundary now. This is driven firmly by Guptill to the man at mid-off for a single. Udana bowling from the River Taff end. Guptill moves to 37, 78 without loss. It brings Munro back on strike. Next up for Sri Lanka, back here on Tuesday against Afghanistan. New Zealand in action on Wednesday at the Oval against Bangladesh. And then Sri Lanka up against Pakistan in Bristol on Friday, with New Zealand travelling to Taunton into Somerset on Saturday to take on Afghanistan. Come thick and fast, these games, don't they? And now it's up and running, the competition. There's a real sense of it kind of building a bit of momentum, I think.
Definitely.
Udana with one slip in place. Munro on 39. Comes over the wicket and bowls, and this was a thickish edge down to third man, where it's, again, just worth a single. Fielded down below us here by Lakmal. Score moves on to 79 without loss. You can only play what's in front of you, James, can't you? But how impressed have you been with New Zealand? I appreciate that Sri Lanka's innings kind of fell apart, but in terms of what they've had to face and how they've gone about it?
Yeah, I've been really impressed. I think I've always liked New Zealand as a team. I think they're always a well-oiled unit in the field. They were very, very hot and really solid.
As Udana bowls a slow ball onto the leg stump of Guptill, just nudges the ball off his hip, backward of square on the leg side for a single, takes him to 38, 81 without loss.
Yeah, they don't very rarely make mistakes. They don't drop catches. They've got good fielders, and they buzz around a lot. And their bowlers they've got all bases covered. They've got Trent Bolt's left arm. Lockie Ferguson's got that extra pace and a bit of an awkward action. Matt Henry, who's a bit more controlled. Tim Southee was missing today. So I think they've got options, and they've also got leg spin.
Udana bowls to Munro, looks to try and launch the ball through the onside, but a big swing and a miss, and through to the keeper, no run.
The leg spin of Ish Sodhi, if the wickets do sort of wear a bit as the tournament goes on, they have got spinning options. So I think, I do like the look of them, and they've got a great chance of getting into the semis.
Yeah, powerful looking top order, isn't it? Bit of strength in the middle order, like Sanisham and de Grandhomme. And as Jimmy mentioned, that impressive looking bowling attack. Very well put together team as Udana in bowls fullish on middle stump, and Munro squirts the ball along the ground to long on for a single. And he ticks his total up to 41 not out. And New Zealand 81 without loss.
They've also got one of the best batters in the world in Kane Williamson as well, which we've missed out. Coming in at 3, he's sort of like, he's the New Zealand's Joe Root, that sort of glue that, if they do lose an early wicket, he'll then try and bat through the innings and everyone else try and bat round him. And I think that he's a fantastic player and someone he could be key to them doing well.
Udana over the wicket to Guptill, who's forward and punching to mid-on, getting through for 1 run. He moves to 39. Score moves on to 82. Without loss, 11 overs gone. Guptill 39 and Munro on 41. Runners up 4 years ago, because it's the post-McCollum and Vittori era, but they keep finding some very good cricket.
Tied at the moment.
Pereira over the wicket balls, and Guptill goes back, tries to clip it down to short, fine leg, pick up and throw towards the stumps as Guptill and Munro get through for what is it? It's a leg bye, just flicked off the pad of Guptill down to short, fine leg, so he remains on 39.83. its way down towards the boundary. 4 more. Munro moves to 55 not out. 109 without loss, with a ball remaining of the 14th over.
They both look like they're oozing confidence at the minute. Munro started the first ball after he got to his 50, tried to sort of fancy pick-up sweepy thing over the leg side, which he missed. But there he just kept his shape and drilled it through the covers. Really good shot.
You can't beat a fancy pick-up sweepy thing. Here's Pereira in and bowls, and Munro comes shuffling down the pitch and tries to launch it out of Cardiff, but the bowler asking the question as to whether there's a little thin edge on that through to the wicket-keeper. They're thinking about a review. I mean, there's nothing really to be lost about not having a review in this situation, and eventually they've decided to review it. Well, Pereira was convinced, wasn't he, there, that that little skip down the pitch resulted in a very thin edge through to the keeper.
We've got a review for caught behind. The original
Let's
decision
see
is
what,
not out. I'll take your front foot first, thank you.
The replay short. First up, whether it's a legal delivery.
Come down nicely, it's a fair delivery, thank you. Front on spin vision.
Nigel Long, the third umpire.
Okay, doesn't look like a bat involved there. I'll take Ultra Edge next, thank you.
Find out now. Ultra Edge being shown.
The ball goes through. Yeah, display went right through, thank you.
And there is
perfect. It's a flat line.
Clear daylight. And Jimmy Anderson smiling to my right-hand side.
I mean, there's clear daylight, and then there's a foot.
And then there's a double-decker bus which you could drive through it.
Yeah, it's a bad review.
Yes. Review. Unfortunately unsuccessful for Sri Lanka. Thank you to James who leaves us. So Guptill's 51, Munro's on 55, so 14 overs gone, and New Zealand steady as you like, really, just cruising towards their target.
Let it be light.
Key is going to be their middle order and their finishers. If they finish well, if they can win the tight games in the middle there with Nisham, Santner, de Grandhomme, if they can get them over the line, I think they've got a really well balanced team. If you were Chandika Hattusingha at the moment, the Sri Lankan coach, you know, it's going to be a pretty quiet dressing room at the end of this game. There's not a lot you can say at a game like this.
Gio Mendes comes into the attack, a little bit of spin, bowling to Gupta, who's going back and working the ball through mid-wicket. 4-2. Takes him to 53 not out. Yeah. I mean, they come thick and fast, the games, don't they? I mean, is that a good thing that
it is?
Sri Lanka in action pretty much quick straight away?
Definitely, it is a good thing. And I think, you know, at the end of the game today, the conversation would be, look, this isn't the day that we wanted. This isn't what we planned to have. Let's get rid of it. Let's move on quickly, and let's look forward to the next game. You know, and they know that they've got to be far better with the bat if they're going to give themselves a chance.
There's Gio Mendes bowling to Gupta, who's forward, turning the ball through the onside, fielded at short mid-wicket by Udana.
Sometimes when you have a bad day, you've got to move on quickly, and today's one of them for the Sri Lankan team.
Mendes twirls away, balls over the wicket to Guptill. This may have just deflected off his thigh pad down to short fine leg, and he gets through for, yeah, it's a leg bye, so Guptill remains on 53. 112 without loss. We know that coaches love to look at the positives. That's the nature of the game, isn't it? It's the nature of the job, I guess. You've got to accentuate the good things. I suppose if you're going to have a bit of a stinker, well, it might as well be your first game of the World Cup.
And get it all the way out of the way in one day. I think probably, you know, the best thing would have been out of today would have been the lack of traffic from Cardiff City Centre to the ground, so the journey will have been good. That's really the only good thing they've had out of today. It's been a very, very poor performance. And people can talk about 10:30, they can talk about a green-looking wicket. They just didn't bat very well at all.
Munro's on strike, goes back, works the ball through the onside, and adds another to his total. He moves to 56.
I think the one thing that they will have to think about before their next game is whether they bring Avishka Fernando into the top of the order, and whether they maybe move Tirimani to 3. I'd like to see Angelo Matthews bat at 4, and then I think also Kaushal Pereira, the keeper, I think he should be at 6. I understand keeping Matthews away from the new ball, but he's their best player, he's their most experienced player. He's got a bat at number 4 if they're going to give themselves a chance of posting scores of 250 plus and being in games.
Mendes to Guptill, who shuffles down the pitch and says, I think I want to get this one done as quickly as I can. He's aiming for the river, and I think he's picked it up. Watch out if you're a fisherman on the banks of the River Taff. There's a ball heading in your direction. Guptill's gone big over the bowler's head, over the sight screen, beyond the trees, and it's a rather soggy ball heading downstream. 6 for Guptill. He moves to 59, and New Zealand now to 119 without loss, and new ball required.
Perfect description. I think if you are fishing, or maybe actually on a canoe or a little boat going up and down the river at the moment, you're probably in more danger than the fisherman, because I think that's gone over the fisherman's head and landed straight in the middle of the river. It's a fantastic cricket shot from Guptill. Everything about it. I think the one thing that, and I heard Jeremy talking earlier about Munro and his technique. I think the one thing that will have happened, the longer this innings has gone, both of them will have spent time at the crease. They'll have got confidence from that. You don't want to lose wickets, but sometimes you go into the next game knowing that you're 3, 4, 5 actually haven't had a hit. But this has been as one-sided as you can get. And as I say, I take you back to as much as Sri Lanka didn't bat well, New Zealand bowled brilliantly. Hostile, aggressive, very impressive.
Here is Mendes into Guptill, cuts the ball now. Good stop just backward of point. Guptill moves to 60, and the score to 120 without loss. 15 overs gone, with a target of 137 for New Zealand to win the game. So it's an absolute canter, really. And even though they're within striking distance of victory, it's time to have a drinks break and reassess.
Yeah, it'd be an interest.
Are you a trades qualified worker?
The target is 137. Just to recap, as Paul mentioned, a wonderful unbeaten half century from the Sri Lanka captain. 52 not out. Basically held the whole thing together. Got a little bit of support with Pereira, who made 27. But it was the start that New Zealand made with the ball that was so devastating. Matt Henry 3 wickets, Lockie Ferguson 3 wickets, 1 for Bolt, de Grandhomme, Nishan and Santa. 136 all out. In fact, Henry took 2 in 2 balls at one point. So 136 all out inside 30 overs, blown away. And the New Zealand reply has cruised it really so far. Guptill's unbeaten on 60, Munro's on 56. 120 without loss, so just 17 more runs required for victory. As the drinks break slowly comes to an end, the Mexican wave continues, and Phil Long's to my left.
Yes, 17 more runs required at the moment, on for a 10-wicket win. There's been 11 of those in World Cup history. New Zealand did it twice in 2011. Sri Lanka have never been on the receiving end of one, so they might want to avoid that. The last 10-wicket victory in the World Cup was Sri Lanka over England back in 2011 in the quarter-final.
Thank you, Phil. And they're few and far between such comprehensive wins.
They are indeed, and that's, you mentioned a few minutes ago, when you start off in a tournament, you want to put in a good, strong performance. England's performance in the opening game against South Africa was a very strong performance. I think the thing that will have pleased Trevor Bayliss the most the other day at the Oval will have been the way that the England team assessed the conditions. They learnt quickly, they posted a good score in the game, and they learnt very quickly with the ball, and they bowled, I thought, exceptionally well, showed a lot of intelligence. Trevor talks a lot to the team about smart cricket, and I thought they played a very smart game the other day. I think New Zealand have played a very smart game today, very hostile with the ball, very attacking, and really got into the Sri Lankans very quickly this morning.
Malinga comes back into the attack from the Cathedral roll end, spears one onto leg stump, which is clipped by Guptill. It's a deep backward square leg for a run. He moves to 61, 121 without loss. Afghanistan are 57 for 3 in the 15th, a wicket for Stark, Cummins and Zampa. Afghanistan 57 for 3 in the 15th. That game's in Bristol, and we'll be travelling there next on 5 Live Sports Extra once this game has reached its conclusion, heading to the county ground in Bristol for the Afghanistan-Australia game, which is currently live online via the BBC Sport website and the BBC Sport app. Munro 56 not out with a slip in place, a fine leg, a deep square leg, mid-on, mid-off, extra cover, point, deep point, and a third man. We have Malinga, squad number 99, Cathedral roll end, and running in now past the umpire. Right arm around the wicket, bangs one in short, and Munro swivels back and swats it down to fine leg for a single. He moves to 57 not out. Score moves on to 122 without loss, brings Guptill back on strike. We've had the Mexican wave during the drinks interval. The atmosphere has been good. The Sri Lankan fans, and you'll know them well, you know the country well, Paul. It'll take something to take a smile off their face. Even a tough performance from their team, they're still enjoying the day.
Absolutely, they're so passionate about the game. They love the game. They want their team to do well, but they love the game. They just want to see good cricket played, and they really appreciate it.
Guptill waits as Malinga's in and bowling, just nudged backward of square for perhaps 2. Yeah, Guptill's got through the first quickly. Could be a little tight. Throw comes in, not the greatest of pick up and throws, and Guptill in the end shuffles back for 2, and he moves on to 63. New Zealand to 124 without loss, halfway into the 16th. That target of 137. And Guptill and Munro getting the runners-up from 4 years ago off to a perfect start. Malinga, almost from behind the umpire, he emerges now, bowls around the wicket, short again, banged in short, down the leg side. What's the decision? It is a wide, is the decision.
Quite right as well. I mean, Ian Gould takes his time to think about the wide. I think he could have given that for line. I think square leg Rod Tucker gave that for height, probably in the end. But it's an interesting tactic, this, from Lasith, coming round the wicket to the right-hander. He's obviously trying to make him only hit through the offside. But Guptill, very experienced, top quality player. I like Guptill as a player. He's not as of a blasting type player as you think he is. He's actually a very well organised player.
There's Malinga from around the wicket to Guptill, short again, pulls it down to fine leg and gets himself 4 runs. Just pivots onto the back foot there, doesn't he? Swivels and swats it down to the boundary, and he moves to 67, 129 without loss. 170 one-day internationals for Martin Guptill, over 6,500 runs, and that ridiculous double century in the World Cup from 4 years ago, that 237 which he made in the quarter-final against the West Indies.
He's an interesting player. He he takes his time to get in. He isn't someone people associate him with being a real smash with the ball up front. He isn't. He takes his time, but once he gets in and he gets to sort of 40-50, he can get to 100 very quickly. He's such a good striker of the ball, but very conventional player.
Malinga balls to Guptill. Hits short on leg stump, and the outcome's the same. It's 4 more runs. Just hopping onto his back foot, just guiding the ball really, using the pace down to the wide boundary at fine leg. 4 more, plus the no ball as well, and a free hit. Oh dear, well, it could all be done and dusted now really. 134 without loss. An expensive delivery from Malinga. Guptill's unbeaten on 71. So this is a free hit. Umpire Gold is twirling his finger above his head there, isn't he?
It's a great thing. I love the free hits. I think that's a great thing to come into the game. I think it's fantastic.
Well, it not ends neither a dot ball or a wicket. You very rarely see a huge hit for a 6. Let's see what this one conjures up. Malinga in and bowls. Well, it's a dot ball. He's hit back down the pitch by Guptill. It was a full-length delivery, speared in to Guptill, and just played it back down the pitch for no run. 134 without loss. So almost there, New Zealand.
They played well, haven't they? I think, as I said, being a little bit critical this morning, perhaps they didn't quite get it right in the first half an hour, but the one good thing was that they were aggressive, they were in Sri Lanka's face, they took the game to them, and they thoroughly deserved to win this game.
Will this be the winning moment, perhaps? Here's Malinga in, bowls, and it's punched through the onside by Guptill. He might want to come back for 2. Indeed he does. Throw comes in, and that takes New Zealand level with Sri Lanka. 136 without loss. That's the end of the 16th over. Guptill 73 and Munro on 57.
Would you like to pay off your credit card faster?
Yes.
And your loans?
Yes.
With no early payment penalties?
Yes, yes.
And would you like to pay...
Got a fantastic bowling attack. Southey will play a big part as the tournament unfolds for them. I think Bolt's their key man. If they can keep him fit, Southey comes in, and as you mentioned there, Taylor Williamson, fantastic team.
There's Mendes into Munro, and that's just worked backward of square on the leg side, clipped off the pads for a single, and that clinches an emphatic victory for New Zealand. A fabulous way to start the World Cup for New Zealand. 10-wicket victory over Sri Lanka. Just 16.1 overs required to knock off the target of 137. And the opening pair, Martin Guptill, 73 not out, and Colin Munro, unbeaten on 57, have steered New Zealand to an absolute canter of a victory, in truth.
Fantastic, very, very impressive performance. We don't want to see too many one-sided games, but you have to say New Zealand have been outstanding, and they really hit Sri Lanka hard with the ball this morning. Very impressive. Couple of early wickets, and that they were really all over them. They never gave them a chance, and Sri Lanka can honestly say they've never actually been in this game at any stage. Dimuth Karunaratne, the captain, probably is the only one who takes any credit away from this. A very hard-working, fighting half-century, but the rest of them will be pretty disappointed.
Well, if you're going to have a bit of a stinker, it might as well be in your first game. Get it out the system, and hopefully from a Sri Lanka point of view, there's much better to come.
We said that the England team, when we lost to Australia in Melbourne in the last World Cup, and we said, look, let's get the stinker out of the way. We didn't.
stand by. There's a million other people here tonight. I can't stay on standby.
What a beauty.
This is going to be good.
Oh, it certainly is.
10 brilliant teams.
48 matches.
11 iconic grounds.
And over 1.5 billion fans.
All making this country and this tournament their home for the next 46 days.
We're ready.
And so are they!
These are nervous times for all concerned. You just want that first ball to go down.
Martin Guptill becomes the first New Zealander to score a one-day international double hundred. What a match for our viewers right around the world. Bodhi finishes off in style. India lift the World Cup after 28 years. A World Cup to savour. Australia are champions of the world.
Hello, London, the UK, and those watching us live across the globe. I'm
Paddy McGuinness.
New Zealand captain Kane Williamson.
South Africa captain Faf du Plessis.
Get ready for India captain Virat Kohli!
And captain of the horse nation, it's England's Owen Morgan. Now, Owen, I'm going to come to you. You must be incredibly proud, leading out England in a home World Cup.
Unbelievably proud, Freddie. We can't wait to start. I'm sure, like the other 9 captains and their teams, tomorrow obviously is a very exciting day for myself, Faf, and both teams and everybody around the country. So we're incredibly proud to be where we're at. Hopefully we'll be a great host, and hopefully we'll do everybody proud.
Best of luck. And Virat, you look out here, you look at the Indian support. Is everywhere you go a home game?
It is indeed. I mean, it's lovely to be here. We have such a huge fan base in England, and the amount of people traveling from home as well. It's great to see every stadium that we play at least 50% of the people are Indian fans. And for us, that's a thing of pressure, but a thing of pride as well. And hopefully we're going to use that crowd advantage for us in this tournament. But yeah, it's a lovely atmosphere, lovely occasion to be at.
Right, 10 incredible teams for the World Cup 2019. No guesses here as to who you guys are supporting. Pakistan, obviously. Who are some of the legends that you're excited to see here tonight?
Wasim Akram, Waqar Younis, obviously Viv Richards, legend West Indies, any of them, and just come out and enjoy the party.
All right, well, good luck to Pakistan in the World Cup 2019.
Right, it's time to meet our Cricket World Cup 60-second challenge teams. Representing Afghanistan, it's Mawar Ashraf and Ariana Saeed. Representing Sri Lanka is Mahaila Jayawardena and Amantha Darsha. Representing the West Indies, the main man Sir Vivian Richards and Johan Blake. Representing Bangladesh, Abdurazak and Jaya Hassan. Representing Pakistan, Azhar Ali and right-handed batter and Nobel Peace Prize winner, I can't believe I'm saying this, Malala Yousafzai. Representing Australia, Brett Lee and Pat Cash. Up for New Zealand, we've got James Franklin and Sean Fitzpatrick.
representing South Africa, Jacques Kallis and Stephen Pienaar. Here we go, representing India, it's Anil Kumble and Farhan Akhtar. And finally, but no means least, representing the home team England, it's the Big Show, Kevin Peterson and Love Island's Chris Hughes.
Well, cricket is one of those sports that you can play absolutely everywhere. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, there are 500 million people sharing a passion for playing the game across the globe, and we're celebrating this on the eve of what will be the greatest Cricket World Cup ever. Take a look. This is what we call Creole. So, 10 pairs representing the 10 competing nations. Each team faces as many balls as they can from our crack team of future star bowlers and fielders from the home of cricket at Lords to score as many runs as they can in 60 seconds to become champions. And they have to swap after every delivery. It's time to say hello to our umpire for the day. No way. This is the party that keeps giving. It's only David Boone! How are you, Mr. Boone? Got to keep on the right side of the umpires. So are you going to explain how this works?
It's basically one run if it hits any part of the bat, 4 to the boundary, 6 over the boundary, -1 run if you miss the ball, -4 runs if you're caught or bowled. No LBW in this format. Umpire's decision is final, of course.
Okay, Mr. Boone, are you ready? Let's play! Afghanistan scored 52! What a great start. Now the next team to bat are Sri Lanka. Let's set the clock. Let's play. And Sri Lanka have scored 43. That puts them in second place. But next up, we have the West Indies and Sir Vivian Richards. Let's set the clock and mind the windows, Viv. $47 points. Now over to Shabani. I think you've got a special guest down there with you.
I do. I've got Jack Kallis with me, who's watching the West Indies bat very carefully. What did you think of their performance, Jack?
Yeah, as usual, the West Indies bring that flair to the game, and certainly nothing was different today with Sir Viv and Jan Blake bringing that to the special arena.
You think South Africa has this in the bag, though?
I don't know about that.
More confidence, Jack, more confidence.
Like the South African team, I think we're underdogs.
All right, we'll see how you go then. Back to you, Freddie.
The next team to bat is Bangladesh. Let's set the clock. "22 runs. What an outrage! Outrage!" And finally, in this round, let's have a big round of applause for Pakistan! "38 runs. So we know currently that Afghanistan are in the lead, but that could all change after the next 5 games. I can tell you, it's going to be close, whatever happens. You see the leaderboard, the West Indies in second, 47, Sri Lanka 43. It is really tight. But one thing we want you to do, we want you to get involved and tell us where you're playing social cricket using the hashtag Creole. Right, who wants some more? This fella does, it's just as well. We've got 5 more teams with 52 to beat to become champions. Who have we got now? Say hello to Australia! Let's set that clock. Come on, Brett, hurry up, mate. Pat's taking his time, he's knocking on. Here we go. Let's play. Oh, someone give that man a tennis racket. Brett Lee, one of the finest strikers the game's seen, just clipping it into the onside for 6. Looks like he's carrying the weight of his team here. Oh, Pat Cash getting in on the action. Oh, big hit from Brett. The Australians hitting it to all parts. Nobody wants to see this. Nobody. Pat Cash, Wimbledon winner in 1987. Great effort from the 2 New Zealand boys. New Zealand have scored 32! And now, up next, it's South Africa. They're ready, the clock's ready. Let's play. Five seconds to go. Jack Callis making it look very, as he always